Okay, here we go, going into our second match of the day, the semi-finals between Team Xenia and Magical Grills. Obviously big fans of barbecues here. First option goes to Xenia. A lot of good first options here. Bastet, incredibly strong in the early game. Athena Thor, another top tier jungler, has a remarkable presence throughout the game. Those early ganks, especially that double tap, very lethal. Option over to Magic Rules. Here they could ban out Athena, a support, to try and take away that taunt. Like I said, Bastet is open. Agni, incredibly strong in the mid lane, but is Jubilonke, the ADC, the hunter, who we banned out. Thanks to that purple buff, his laning phase is far better, and he does hit hard. Xenia, with their second ban coming up soon, will ban out Athena, relevant throughout the game. Taunt, one of the best setup abilities on a Beads and Magi's Buster on a 13-second cooldown, as opposed to Gev's Cataclysm, which is on a 90-second cooldown. Last ban coming out of Magical will be a will be coming up soon, and yes, it will be a mid lane mage. I was right, it is a mage. We'll see Ra, that healing capability and siege potential, and that leaves Saket open, which will be instantly locked in by Xenia. Taken a few hits with a lack of pen boots, her early damage is not as significant, but she still rules the mid game, which has always been her stomping ground. Two picks coming up for Magical. We will see Bastet hover over here. A far stronger earlier game than Saket, far safer early game. A lot of damage coming out of those very high scaling abilities. Benefits more from physical power than she does pen. One of the few gods that does, which is making her extremely relevant in this meta. And Sylvanas, no, Poseidon, changed her at the last minute, taking out that mid lane mage. The Krakens available for level 5 First Bloods. It is curious to me that they picked Bastet here rather than third pick. It's unlikely that Xenia were going to pick Bastet themselves. They could pick her into the solo lane, although it's unlikely, and that would still would have allowed Magical to get her before the second banning phase. But Xenia's choice now, they will lock in their ADC in Cupid, which is strange to me, as Cupid, yet again, Cupid is a hard counter to Jubilonke, but is countered himself by Artemis, and we'll have to see if Magical will pick that up here. Sylvanas is also locked in. That pull into the Fields of Love, incredibly lethal if they don't have CC immunity. The Lotus Crown, allowing Sylvanas to be far more relevant in the late game with his heals, adding those protections to the entire team on a constant tick as well. Last choice here before the next banning phase, likely looking for their own support or ADC. I would probably think a Artemis pick up here, get her before the next banning phase, but no, Ymir is going to be hovered on here. Neither Sylvanas nor Cupid have a way to get around that wall. Freeze will set up the Kraken very nicely. So a lot of synergy there coming out of that pick. He's got to be careful though. If he gets pulled by Sylvanas and rooted, there is nothing he can do to get away from that. Same with Fields of Love. Second phase of banning coming out, Janus, another mid laner taken off the table. Those portals not only dealing a significant amount of damage, but allowing him to rotate far quicker than anyone else. And yes, we will see Xenia ban out that Artemis, taking that counter pick off the board. Ram is the other ADC that goes even with Cupid. He can ult out of Cupid's Field of Love without taking any of the damage. It does leave him slightly vulnerable on his return, but it does effectively negate the enemy ADCs while still allowing him to do damage with his own. He's just got to make sure he hits level 5 at the same time that Cupid does. AMC, on the other hand, suffers greatly against Cupid, has no way to get out of the Fields of Love, and is very vulnerable to the heart bombs. So it's an interesting pickup here. Neither he or Ymir have a lot of maneuverability. They're going to have to rely heavily on Bastet and Poseidon for their rotation power to try and get the upper hand on their enemies in lane. Selection over to Xenia. We will see a hover on Agni here. One of the strongest mid lane mages. He scales harder than any other mage in the game, bar perhaps Scylla. The lack of pen boots, he's another god that isn't affected by the lack of pen boots. He actually prefers the power. And Cronus. Now Cronus I would have actually preferred to have seen first picked. One of the greatest things Cronus brings is his ambiguity. Cronus can be a solo laner, an ADC. He can be a mid, although I don't think he works very well there. He lacks the space control of other mid laners. But that ambiguity allows you much better freedom with your picks and bans, and makes it much harder for the enemy team. But he'll be locked in here, most likely for the solo lane, with Agni going to mid. Last choice here for Magical. This will most likely be their solo laner. We see a hover on Habois here, which would leave Habois versus Cronus. Habois does very well. He can burst down Cronus before he goes into that rewind. Arachne, actually. Arachne suffers from a poor clear, which Cronus does not. He can, however, deal a lot of consistent damage. The trick to killing Cronus is you either have to burst him down really quickly before he can get into his ult, or take him down slowly, so dealing about 30% of his health every 8 seconds. This means that when he rewinds, he will only rewind to about 40% health, rather than going back to 100% as if you loaded everything to him at once. In that regard, Arachne does quite well. The spider babies can deal a lot of damage over time, and that venomous bite, which can be applied with just a single auto attack, will not only allow him to sustain in lane, which will max Cronus' sustain, but also deal a considerable amount of damage to that Lord of Time. See the countdown here as we prepare to go into match. The early game, once again, is ruled by Bastet. Arachne and Poseidon will only compound that. Ymir, also with his damage, very significant in early stages of the game, still notable in late, but definitely far more of an impact in early. AMC seems a bit of a strange choice in this comp. He doesn't bring anything till late. He's very much a stand and fight hunter. He doesn't have much rotational power to compound on that early game that his team has, and if anything, we'll be looking for his team to carry him to that later stages of the game, where his lack of mobility will not see him punished as much as the game starts to shift towards team fights. On the other side of the game, we have Cronus, who late game is an absolute beast. He is the hardest tower pusher in the game. Can take them down in about 8 shots with a minion wave there, once he hits level 20 and near full build. Come late game, he and Cupid will deal a considerable amount of damage for those auto attacks alone, let alone their abilities. Saket will start to fall off at that point. There's not a huge amount of appeal. Has a delayed stun, as does Cupid. It's going to really rely on Agni and Sylvanas to allow her to get in, do the damage, and get out. Saket is very much an all-in god. She is very powerful, she does a lot of damage, but she does leave herself vulnerable if she's not careful. Agni, on the other hand, just deals a lot of damage and is not vulnerable. The key to a good Agni player, as any of the top mid laners will tell you, is not using that dash aggressively. The dash is one of the best escapes, definitely one of the best escapes on a mage, allowing him to instantly get out of danger. Even Scylla's Sentinel, which does go over walls, has a delay on it, and that can mean a lot, allowing her to be CC'd and the like. Agni also has a considerable push, one of the few people who can match Poseidon's push in lanes, which is very important. He won't give up early lane pressure. Some people do say that Poseidon is a counter to Agni. This comes off the cripple from the Whirlpool, stopping his flame, his dash. However, His dash is not needed for him to clear the wave after a few levels, especially once he hits level 5. He'll be able to do that with his ultimate and the flame wave. So it is more a 50-50 matchup. Obviously at level 5, Poseidon will have that burst from the Kraken. We'll have to see if he can capitalise on that and secure a kill. You can see these are all heavily lauded players here with their fancy loading frames. The matchup which will probably be most interesting will be this Kronos and Arachne. Kronos has relatively safe clear after a few levels. Arachne will have to get in to do the damage, and Kronos of course will be able to clear up these spider babies with his auto attacks while clearing the wave with his abilities. His auto attacks far more powerful than many mages, which could severely hinder Arachne's clear. We shall have to see though, because a few early kills from Arachne could see Slowpunk pressured out of lane. Now with an Arachne and a Bastet, I would be very surprised not to see an invade coming out from the team. They have some of the best ones in the game. Arachne's webs deal a considerable amount of damage, and that slow is very powerful. But we will go into game here. Just wait for everyone to load in. It looks like everyone's here, so I will introduce your teams. Coming out of the order side, wearing the blue trunks, is Xenia, comprised of Grimmy on Serket in the jungle, Slowpunk on Kronos in the solo lane, Hindi on Cupid, with Ronimao on Sylvanas in the duo lane, and Died on Agni in the mid lane. Meanwhile, their opponents are Sir Duckbot on AMC as the ADC. Accompanying him is Gibbs on Ymir as support. Ducky will go into the jungle on your Bastet, and a Pointed Gnome will be in the solo lane on Arachne, leaving Apple in the mid lane as Poseidon. We're seeing Grimmy might be caught out here as a 5-man grouping will find him, and yes, this looks like first blood. It will be Apple who will find the kill there with the Whirlpool. Grimmy, likely looking to place wards or just scout the area, will find his death instead. Let's try and get these all lined up for you. Mid lane should go in the middle. Okay, well, there we go. There we go. We will see Grimmy return here, and yes, Ducky and Point of Known have not given this up. They're looking for an invade here, likely going to wait till Xenia have started this buff. See it coming out now. Yes, yeah, here they come. Spiders will hit. Point of Known dealing a lot of damage here, but Slowpunk will be able to get away as the spiders run out. Grimmy could be caught out here again, body block, but no. The red team split their attention there. The buff will not go down, and neither will any of Team Xenia. You can actually see Arachne's opted into the Bluestone and Boots rather than Heavy Hammer, which could have secured that kill, but we can also see, thanks to the early pressure coming out of Poseidon in the mid lane, Apple is able to rotate over and clean up both buffs on the order side, giving a Pointed Gnome and Ducky a huge advantage in this lane. Grimmy's rotating in, but he's got to be careful here not to get caught out again. In fact, Pointed Gnome is here, will land spiders again, but Grimmy is going to dash away from that one. Over in the duo lane, Sir Duckbot with his clear, but it's Gibbs who will catch Ronimao out with a freeze. Hindi trading that back with a heart bomb. Sylvanas obviously has those heals, allowing him to sustain far better than any other support. Ducky has apparently decided he has no time for the solo lane. He'd much rather be in the enemy team's jungle. Already hitting level 3. His opponent still level 1. This is what Bastet does best. She goes into your jungle and she takes it. I'm surprised to see Ducky's only opted into Hog 1 here rather than Hog 2. Instead they picked up those boots, which does allow for quicker rotations, and obviously they're not lacking in clear right now. Hindi and Ronimao both sitting about half health and pushed under tower despite both of them having sustained in that heart and those wisps. The damage coming out from Gibbs and Seductbot just too much, as they are missing out on experience here. And they're going to be out for Ronimao is caught out with Gibbs landing the 1-2 combo. Seductbot one auto attack will do it, and yes, he will find it. Second kill, 2 magical. This time it is the support who falls to the ADC. In the mid lane, Apple has already hit level 5, whereas Died is still only level 4, so only about halfway through level 4 thanks to those camp steals. And a rotation over from Gives the freeze, and a Kraken will see Died die, frankly. He should be up in time for mid camps, but it doesn't look like Xenia will be able to do anything to contest this, as Magical at the 3-minute mark have a firm hold on this game. Grimmy is forced to under tower, level 3 as opposed to Ducky's level 4 actually. Ducky, yes, yeah, Ducky's just hit level 5 there. Mid camps are coming up. Lefts have gone to Magical. Rights have gone uncontested now, but Slowpunk is forced around the back of his tower. Appointed Gnome and Ducky aren't giving this up though, and without his ult he has no way out, and yes, he will go down there as Ducky secures himself another kill. Appointed Gnome able to walk out of that freely with the cats tanking up that damage. Right camp's still up. Ducky and Apple will probably clean these up now. Yes, so both mid camps and 4 kills going to Magical Grills at 3 minutes 40 seconds. This will give them a 3,000 gold lead and a 4,500 experience lead at less than 4 minutes into the game. A considerable difference coming out here. This can be seen in the levels. 2 levels behind on the solo laner, 1 on the ADC, 3 on the mid laner, despite only one of the 4 kills happening there. And we can see once again the mid lane is pressured as the Kraken comes out. Whirlpool and Freeze, and yes, Apple will secure that. A 2-man stun coming out of Died there will almost pick up Gibbs, but it's not enough. Died's got to be careful here. He's going aggressive. Will he be able to find it? No! And it's Ducky who's coming back in with the retaliation. Died seeing about 25% health as Gibbs is able to get away from that engagement with barely a slither of his own. Ronimao is rotating in here. Those wisps will heal Died up as he hits level 6. Counts to come up across the map. It looks like for the first time Grimmy will be able to take his own jungle, as Ducky has decided that he's actually going to stay in his own half this time. That being said, Appointed Gnome did not get the memo as he's hanging out in blue buff, perhaps looking to bait an engagement from the Kronos, but Slowpunk doesn't seem to want any of it. Instead, Appointed Gnome is just going to die the tower for him, dealing a lot of damage there. Stun comes out, Time Rift comes out, both ultimates come out, and yes, Appointed Gnome will be slightly too late there. Xenia could turn this around now. He's got all his cooldowns back, he's got all his health back. Appointed Gnome is forced to beat it. He has landed the Venomous Bite. He's healing up. The spiders have come out. Slowpunk's got to be careful. He's stunned. 1, 2 more attacks, and yes, he will go down. Appointed Gnome, will the archers clear him up? Are minions OP? No, he will get out on 50 health and will sustain up from this wave. No rotations are coming over here as the 6th kill is secured by the red team. Meanwhile, Sir Duckbot on the left side will pick up Ronimao as he tries to rotate in to protect this Gold Fury. It's not enough though, and at less than 6 minutes, Magical Grills will secure the first Gold Fury of the game, putting them a massive 5,000 gold ahead as Died is once again found by Apple in the mid lane. The Kraken coming out and eating him up, as it's actually a shark this time rather than a Kraken. Still, it seems to hurt a considerable amount as Hindi is pushed under tower by Seductbot. 2 levels behind now, just unable to fight, forced to let the minions in, losing gold with every one the tower hits. After all of that, Slowpunk will be able to pick up his blue buff. Mid camps are once again going to the red team though, as Appointed Gnome seems to have firm lane pressure here. He'll choose to push this rather than freezing it out. Meanwhile, Grimmy's going to have to give up this speed buff unless he has Hog. Does he have? No. Instead, he's going to choose to go aggressive. Duck is going to have to be careful. He's jumped in place. the ultimate call will come out, as will the cats. Last breath is on him, but it's the tick from Agni which will secure it. Appointed Gnome and Apple have rotated in here now though, and it's a 3-man rotation into the enemy jungle, which will pick up Died in response, as well as Grimmy. Slowpunk's got to be careful here now. Does he have rewind up? No, not for another 7 seconds, but it looks like it doesn't matter, as the red team will back off here. Instead, they're going to pressure the solo lane. I'm willing to pursue Kronos through that tier 2 tower, the accelerate, giving him enough speed to get away. Go back to the item builds here. You can see the difference. Kronos still only on the tier 2 of his first item, whereas Arachne's already finished her boots, working into what is likely to be Icaville at this point. Ultimate comes out from Sadok, but will miss. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, Apple picks up another kill with the Kraken. He himself is a whole lost artifact and tier 1, what is likely to be a spear ahead of his enemy in lane. Both of them have actually picked up beads. And both supports this game have opted into Watcher's Gift rather than the tankiness of Vanguard. You can see a surrender vote coming out from the Xenia, most likely, as Kronos is picked up, as well as Hindi on the other side. Grimmy is able to trade that out though, as he secures a kill on Sir Duckbot, jumping away to make sure the minions don't get their revenge. You can see Ducky rotating over here, probably looking for a kill on Died. He's got to be careful. He only has a 1 level advantage here. Apple, on the other hand, has a 5 level advantage, and he's not scared at all. Both of them going on the tower. Ducky's going to eat a lot of damage from those bombs. He will drop the cats as Grim rotates in. Died's getting very low, and Apple will clear that up. Ducky will jump away with that Bastet leap, but he's jumping back into the fight as Last Breath goes down onto Apple. Slowpunk has rotated in here, and Apple's got to be careful. Kraken comes out, misses everyone, and Slowpunk will clean that up. Ducky has no mana left as a 3-man rotation is coming, and yes, Ducky is going to fall here. Ronamile will get that with a tick, as we're seeing a slight turnaround coming here. Maybe a few glimmers of hope from Xenia as Magical start to make some mistakes. Gibbs and Noma here, however, now, and they're diving the tower. Grimmy will be picked up there as Slowpunk is going to be careful. The tier 1 tower will fall, making that overall a 2-for-1 trade in favour of Xenia for the first time. Pointed Gnome has been hit by the heart bomb here, but he should be fine. This isn't a stun, and despite it being a 4 versus 2, Gibbs does not look like he's afraid to go aggressive. Pointed Gnome, they're taking a lot of damage there, forced up into the infinite web. Will back away safely from that, jump over the bomb. Big rotation will not secure any more kills as more damage is done to the left tower. So Duckbot's going to have to be careful here, trading out with Hindi, but Ronamau has rotated in. He's going to back out here as there are 4 people for Team Xenia in the left side jungle. Ducky has returned to farming. Pick up that red, will not split it with Apple, though he is far enough ahead of his mid laner that I doubt he minds. Stinger from Sir Duckbot will pick that up as Apple rotates in, and will pick up Ronamau with the Tidal Surge. Raimi could be got out of position here. The dot damage comes out, but it's not enough, and it's Died who's been turned on here. Ymir will not secure it. It'll be Sir Duckbot who picks up that kill. 3-for-0 trade once again in favour of Magical as Grimmy's forced out here. Grimmy, despite the forced start, and as we say that, Appointed Gnome will find Slowpunk in the solo lane. Notable here though, despite the start, Ducky is actually now level with Grimmy. Grimmy really stepping up the farm despite dying 4 times. We can see that Arachne did choose to build into that Icaville. Not as powerful against Kronos. The physical power he's stealing, while will be contributed to his own, will not reduce the damage of his opponent. Apple is not worried about the damage of his opponent as he will pick up Ronamau with the Whirlpool Kraken combo. Gibbs is going deep for Saket here, but will not find it with a quick ambush away. Heart bomb and Last Breath should secure the kill on him, and yes, but it's Died who will get the last tick of damage. Meanwhile, the tier 2 tower will fall. Hindi has dashed in to try and find Ducky, but will find his own death as Sir Duckbot will clean him up. Grimmy, on the other hand, will find it, coming around the back there. So Duckbot and Apple looking for blood here though. Died should be able to get a 2-man stun. No, he only secures 1, but it's still enough as he dashes past both of them. Grimmy will sneak away behind his tier 2 tower, but Sir Duckbot does not look willing to give this up yet. Ronamao says, stay right there, my man, as he tries to peel for dive, but this will result in his own death instead. Ultimate will not go off, and Grimmy's in a bad position here, but Ultimate will miss from Sir Duckbot, and he'll be able to leap over the wall. 12 minutes in, pressure is being put on this mid lane Phoenix, as not a single tower has fallen for Magical. Gold Fury is up. Gibbs decided to chill with Bay there, but it will be Fire Giant which will draw their attention. Once again, we'll have to see if the team can do the Fire Giant dance with the cats coming out as well, and the Spider Babies. That's a lot of damage from minions, and with the ultimate they will be able to clear that up. They will lose Sir Duckbot in the process, however. Fire Giant for 1 should be a good trade. I don't think Xenia even know it's been done. They will soon, as they see those belts coming out. Died will know, as he will look at the damage coming out of the crack and go, oh, that's slightly more than when it last killed me. Apple hasn't given up, as a point of gnome finds Runabout, and Apple will find Slowpunk for the double kill. Looking for the trouble here, as Hindi will get away underneath that tower. Grammys decide to stay invisible in the mid camps, but will have to come out of that soon, as their Phoenix is under attack. Cats are not up, neither is their ADC, so this will take slightly long to burn down, but not that much longer. 3-man stun coming out of Died. Isn't enough to turn it though, but Grimmy will pick up Gibbs after the damage taken from the Phoenix. Apple is taking a lot of damage from the swings from the Titan as he goes overly aggressive. Opponent Gnome will pick up Hindi in return. The hard bomb not enough to slow him down. Taunt will come out, as will the damage from Sir Ket. But yet again, in that infinite web, opponent Gnome should be fine. Takes more damage from the bombs, but he's going to back off here. Grimmy is also getting low. He's going to have to be careful about pursuing this. One venomous bite from Arachne could turn this fight around completely, and it's not even going to be that, as the babies will find the kill on Grimmy. Just 5 minutes are now pouring down the middle lane, as Ducky and Appointed Gnome have not given this up yet. The sustain coming out of Arachne thanks to that venomous bite. Just too much, and she's already back in the fight. Will pick up Died. Slowpunk looks to be our next target. A 5-level difference here. He knows he can't fight this. Will try and accelerate away. Deal some damage, in fact, and with Hindi rotating in, they look to turn this around. B's too early, and Slowpunk will be the one who shuts down Appointed Gnome, finally getting revenge on his enemy in the solo lane. Xenia showing that they are able to pick up 2 kills against this team, as Sir Duckbot tries to take away the red buff. Runabout will hog that, but without Fire Giant up for contention, it's not too much of a problem. Gold Fury, however, is still up, and with a 10,000 gold difference right now in favour of the red team, Xenia could really use it. Griffin coming out in the mid lane as Apple tries to burst down Slowpunk before he can go into the ultimate. He is capable of it, and we can see him fall there before Rewind comes out. Hard bomb is on. Beads is activated to avoid the CC coming out from the blue team, and they will turn their attention to the enemy support Ronamao, who is going low. Apple will most likely fall here to the Fields of Love, but no, it's Died who will pick that up as Gibbs is forced to retreat out of this. Grim will go aggressive, but Sir Duckbot has rotated in here. Last breath is applied to Grimmy. One more hit will be enough to finish him off, and it looks like Bees actually were the ones who did the last tick of damage in that case. So Duckbot and Gibbs pushing down this mid lane. Gibbs is forced to back here, low on health, no mana to speak of, as Sir Duckbot will force yet more fire minions into the base. Ducky meanwhile pushing down the right side in an attempt to take this Phoenix. Slowpunk has rotated over. Died and Ronamao both looked for as well. Cats have come out, but they're not focusing the Phoenix instead. Going for Slowpunk. Ronamao's got to be careful he doesn't become the target here. With the Cats are still down, and with Sir Duckbot there should be enough, as well as the archers, to take down that Phoenix. Slowpunk once again tries to go into that rewind. Once again it's not fast enough, as the ultimate coming out from Sir Duckbot is enough to clean that up. Ronamao getting low here as Ducky is forced to rotate away. jumping out of that as Sir Darkbot picks up the 3rd kill with Ronimov in his triple kill. Only Grimmy is up for the blue team, but he will pick up Ducky in the backline. So Darkbot is going to turn his attention to the Titan here as Gibbs tries to keep Grimmy busy, and it's sitting at only 15% health, 6%. Yes, this will be game. And at 16 minutes 54, Magical will take the game, 35 kills to 12.